Hello! Howdy, folks. Welcome to your Life is Strange 2 spoiler chat. I am joined by Jane from Outside Xbox.
Hi.
And Johnny from Dicebreaker.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. Oh!
And Watson.
Also in the studio.
You can't see,
currently wriggling around my legs.
Yay!
Oh! It's
Hello.
Watson!
Hello.
She got excited because he started talking.
Oh!
Oh my god, oh no, she's in the munchies.
Oh no! Watson, no!
Move the munchies.
Those will kill you, sweetheart. Come here.
Those are for people.
She's going to sit on
Okay, so
Okay.
this is how this is happening. Hide those,
All right,
Jane.
hide the munchies.
Hide the munchies. Okay, so I'm
Never worked with children or animals, and you invited us both.
okay. So I'm very happy with what's happened.
Yes.
Right. So we are going to be talking about life. Oh, bless her. Look. We are going to be talking about Life is Strange 2, Episode 4, Faith. This is your spoiler warning. We are going to be talking all about spoilers for all of Life is Strange, every game, every episode published up until now. So there you go. And we're going to go through bit by bit and talk. We're going to talk a little bit about what we think, and then we'll have a little look at the comments, see what you guys think, read a few out, and then we will move on. So the first item on our list is Hospital Escape. John,
Yeah.
I believe we have a VT to roll.
Good day, sunshine.
Hey, Joey. Hey, man.
That looks like it might have been food. Hard to tell.
Ha ha. Never heard that before.
Oh, somebody is in a bad mood.
Sorry, Joey. Not feeling it today.
I don't blame you.
Producer John is really working today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Producer John is running around checking that everything's working.
Fine.
Okay.
We're led to believe that you did just see a clip from the hospital at the beginning of episode 4.
The clip fully happened. Okay.
Watson, come here. Sorry.
Oh,
You carry on.
Okay. So, hospital escape.
Yes.
Obviously, Sean wakes up in hospital. We find out that no one was killed in the explosion at the end of the last...
Not in the explosion, no.
I think the only casualties that happened,
Possibly-
or that can have happened, will have happened as a result of player choices, like
Yes,
people
that's
getting
right.
shot dead.
So Finn may have died.
Yeah.
But apart from that, it's all down to the choices you made in the previous episode.
Yeah.
So let's talk first about the eye loss.
Okay.
That was bad.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Don't worry, it's fine. I'm just keeping on. She dives off the edge
She'll be
here.
fine,
There's
don't
some
worry.
cables and stuff. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, eye loss. That's pretty harsh punishment. I feel like Sean really goes through the mill in this episode generally.
Yeah.
There's a lot of injuring. There's a lot of quite brutal wounding.
Yeah.
And the eye is the first example of
Yeah,
that.
he was. I mean, to be honest, when I saw that injury at the end of episode 3, I fully thought he was dead. I was like, "What a bold choice! They've just killed
They've
one
killed
of the Diaz
Sean.
brothers."
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, when it turned out he was alive, but he was just down an eye. That was still hard, and it was that moment where he had to sit still and have it be swabbed. That was really difficult to sit through.
Yeah.
It wasn't gratuitous, but it was just a quiet moment of reflection to be like, look how banged up he is. Ow, no way. Like it was an endurance test in how much punishment he could take. Almost.
You get a lot of choices in this episode as to whether or not Sean should get punched a lot.
Yeah.
And generally, I have to say, I made choices that got Sean punched almost all the time. I think every opportunity there was to get Sean beaten up, I took it.
Ditto.
And not out of malice,
No.
but the fact that you have that sort of painful swabbing scene at the beginning did give all of that subsequent punching, which in video games often lacks consequence. Did give it a lot more gravity and a lot more heft.
Yeah, I guess it's about how willing you are to sit there and take it. It's almost
I
it's
think
about
so.
being passive in the face of somebody intruding on your body.
The other thing that really sucked was trying to draw, like doing the drawing stuff
that
with
was
one
rough.
eye, because Sean is so good. Like his drawings are so genuinely great. I found it quite.
And the way the depth perception test was really actually quite difficult.
Yes,
and
perfect,
as a player
perfect
of
for a video
games,
game.
you're like,
Yeah.
I'm going to master this, and actually, it's difficult.
Yeah.
Have you tried it in real life?
No,
It's
I've not.
nails. Aoife and I gave it a go.
Is
Like,
it?
okay, now that you got to do it.
I
with
don't,
my
you
finger.
can't do it
Okay.
yourself.
Close one eye.
Yeah.
Okay, closed. Oh man.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
You're watching a live reenactment.
Whoa!
Actually,
Oh,
pretty
man.
close.
That
That
was-
actually looked really good on there as
Did
well.
it?
You
Okay.
could see how misaligned they were.
play along at home. Man, that was challenging. Okay, so at the end of this sequence, at the hospital sequence,
Yes.
You do make an escape one way or another.
Yeah.
Shall we just talk about how we individually
Yeah,
managed that?
because I
Jane?
know
What
we
you
did
do?
something different. I got out the window, went along the ledge off a scaffolding, and down to the ground. It
How
was
did you get out the window?
Simple. I broke the lock with the safety bar from the bathroom.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, what I did was I got the safety bar.
Did you kill someone with it? I mean, not kill someone.
When
with it,
I
obviously.
left, I had not confirmed the kill.
Okay, but you did
They
bash like the guard with the bar from the bathroom.
Yes, I
Oh.
did. Yeah.
Wow.
What about you?
I had a chat with the lovely nurse, whose
Yeah.
name I can't remember.
Joey, I want to say.
Yeah, he was like, dude, like, I talked him into into helping us escape. And
Really?
he was like, he was like, find something to hit me with. So we
Ooh.
broke the bar off, and he was like, give me a tap just here.
Oh,
I had no
God.
idea you
And
could
we
do that.
whamped him over the head, and he was like, Jesus, I said tap, not smash.
You whomped
And then he
Joey.
was like, all right, now get out of here.
Oh,
and then I
dang.
think we got out the window, I think, because
Oh.
then we shimmied along and saw Finn.
Yes, I
yeah,
saw
yeah,
him as
that's
well.
right, yeah.
I let him be. I,
Yeah,
don't, want to-
same.
I don't
I
need
was
to
like,
talk to him.
screw
You guys
that.
didn't
Yeah.
talk to Finn.
No.
Oh, I talked to Finn.
Really?
Why? What could you possibly gain out of talking to that idiot?
Yeah, just the pillow over there. Yeah. I guess I don't know. I guess I just wanted to. The thing was, I impulsively was like, "Yeah, let's talk to Finn. Let's find out what Finn has to say." But then I did regret it because as soon as Finn wakes up, and was like, "Hey, man," I was like, "Oh, now Finn is a witness." So then I played through this kind of conversation you can have with Finn, and I made all of the nice and forgiving choices
In case
because it
he
occurred to me
shocked
like,
you.
what
Yeah.
if I say something to Finn and then Finn is like, yeah.
Screw that guy. Oh, I'm so sorry you had to go through that. That's awful.
It was painful. I regret it enormously. But yeah, nothing to be done. The way that I escaped from hospital was I got the bar, and then I got Joey in, lovely nurse
Yeah,
Joey.
lovely Joey.
And I was like, "Hey, Joey, so how about we escape?" And Joey's like, "Dude, if you try and escape, I will for sure lose my job and you will die in prison." And then he was like, "Don't ask me to do this." And at that point, it gives you a second choice to kind of like keep going, just keep pushing with the thing. And I was like, "I can't do it to Joey. I have to leave him with plausible deniability."
Yeah.
So in the end, I went with the option that was the guard comes in and.
Fair enough. We had plausible deniability because I was playing it through with Aoife on Eurogamer.
Yep,
even though
yep.
I'm at Dicebreaker now, youtube.com/Dicebreaker. We gave him plausible deniability along with a big bruise on the back of the head.
Well, that was kind. That was a kindness.
We felt like he wouldn't lose his job. We were secure in that sort of conviction, at least.
On reflection, because it's been a few weeks since we played it, you don't see the FBI agent again, which means she must be in the finale.
Yeah.
Because she talks to you, she comes and interviews you and gives you a hard time and is kind of hard ass.
Horrible.
Yeah, I feel like they were going for like
John, can we turn the music down?
maybe
a bit?
not tough but fair, but tough but tough.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was kind of lame.
Yeah, Scully. She's nicknamed
Oh yeah.
by Joey.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Ah.
How did you get on with Agent
Yeah.
Scully?
I wonder if maybe she'll redeem herself a little bit because I feel like the game itself, like whatever our reaction was, I feel like the game itself wasn't trying to present her as a villain,
Yes.
but just as a hard ass. And so I wonder, I mean, there's only one more episode to go, right? The next
Yeah.
episode's and I know you want to talk about theories later.
but go for it.
But it's only on reflection now. I'm like, oh yeah, she seemed quite important when she appeared
Yeah.
early in episode 4. So presumably she's going to be sort of instrumental in the wrapping up of the...
I don't know. I mean,
Of the-
I got
of
the
the
strong
season.
impression that she couldn't catch a cold, because like they were talking about like trying to find Daniel, and she was like, "Oh, I think I have a lead." Oh, where did it
Yeah,
go?
but if we've
It was
learned
around
nothing,
here
if we've
somewhere.
learned nothing else from Life is Strange 2, is that everyone is really terrible at catching two inexperienced boys who are
Yeah.
fugitives.
This is
Like,
true.
Everyone's really bad.
I didn't get the impression from this episode that like the law was hot on their heels as they
No,
make it to the
no,
border.
no. Everyone's asleep at the wheel.
I
Yeah.
mean, like episode 1, you've got to assume that they were never more than 200 foot away from an officer of the law. It's just that they weren't watching.
Yeah, kind
They
of.
just managed to slip through 100,000.
Yeah,
cracks.
and now he's got one eye. He's extremely distinctive looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yet no one's finding him or no one's
No.
catching him. By the way, thank you, Andy, for the coffee.
Thank you.
Cheers, Andy.
Andy's Andy's over there with Watson now.
Just
so-
absorbing the
Yeah.
staggering spoilers.
Oh yeah, sorry.
I didn't have enough hands to get one for myself.
Oh, no!
Andy!
Oh my god!
So if you didn't hear that, Andy said I didn't have enough hands to get coffee for myself. So Andy did a coffee run and came away
Came
with
back with
no
no coffee.
Watson's
Oh.
helping
My
herself
God.
to some duct tape from the side of this table if you want some of that.
Delicious.
Andy, you get to go to heaven now, though.
Oh, sweet.
Like that's safe. You're in.
Cancels out those
Yeah.
photos.
They have every milk. Like,
No extra charge.
yeah, even milks that haven't been invented yet.
Unicorn milk.
Unicorn milk.
Doverkin the Sardine says I didn't like her in reference to the FBI agent who sort of shows up, which
No,
no,
I feel
it
strongly
makes
you meant to kind of agree with the characters.
Yeah.
Because she's not presented as someone who's likable. But I feel like the game doesn't want you to hate her, but I kind of do. So
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's setting itself up for like that shot in Die Hard where the gun goes off and then it pulls back and it's Al, and it was like
Yes.
Al did
Yes,
have John
yeah.
McClane's
That's
back
it.
this whole time.
that's
Yeah.
the
If
one.
she's not involved in a
Yeah.
quite possibly literal Mexican standoff by the end of
Yeah.
episode 5,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll eat my hat.
That's a solid bet, I think. Yeah.
the way that Al eventually does find the courage to shoot someone to death again. At the end of Die Hard.
Like, this is the biggest, not to go completely off the rails though, the biggest question in my mind that's unanswered from Die Hard, were the Twinkies actually for his wife, and is she pregnant? Because the
Is
dude
there
in the
eve-
shop does not believe him.
Is there even
Exactly.
a wife?
Because if no, then Al's an unreliable narrator. Maybe he loves shooting people. Anyway, Life is Strange.
Is he even a cop? Could just be on the way to a costume party. Geek with Glasses says, I love that we never see the eye after the accident. The imagination is always worse.
Yeah.
That is a
Yeah,
really
agree.
good point. I
Yeah.
kept thinking we were going to... You only get like little
You
glimpses,
see
don't you?
a
Something
tiny
like-
glimpse
yeah.
of the upper eyelid, I think. As do they refer to it as a socket at one point? I think they do. Which is
Maybe.
kind of grim.
Yeah.
You...
I feel like all the painstaking detail over how to clean it was almost more vivid than showing you it, because
Oh.
you know, in the art style of the game it was never going to look like a
No.
photorealistic damaged eye socket. But the way they're talking about like swabs and ointment and you have to kind of do it, and that
bit,
felt very
when
real
you're,
and
when
vivid.
you're given the orders, that had me scrabbling for my notes app, because I was sure that later
If I
on we
do
were
it
going to be
wrong.
given a sort of, which one of these options do I do first? And it's like, number 1, jam pen in socket, and wiggle it round.
And then you get a horrible infection and
Yeah,
lose
yeah,
the other
yeah.
eye or something.
So far, that hasn't happened, though. I think
No.
it would be a bit cruel to make us remember that months to come in episode 5.
Yeah.
Sarah Shoot says, did you take her card, though, referring...
Of course I did. You know,
Yeah,
I might
can't
need it
hurt.
at some point.
Oh, I think I left it because it was like no paper trail. None of that.
Oh,
And
because if someone
also-
finds it on
Smart.
you,
Smart.
that's a good
Can't-
point.
We were really like, I remember being extremely glad that it wasn't in our car when it got searched by the racists.
Oh, right, because if they were like, why do you have this FBI
Yeah.
card in there? You should have
Oh,
taken
yeah.
it, memorized the number, and then eaten it.
Exactly.
Or something. Yeah.
Well, speaking of, I think that brings us quite neatly on to our next point.
Okay.
Will we have VT for it? Let's find out. I think we will. It's all the trouble on the road. Roll clip, John.
You still play with toys? Seriously?
It belongs to my brother. Leave it alone.
If it's playing on...
Oh,
Oh, we're back. We're back.
We're back.
That was a short clip. Okay.
Very short.
Okay, so Sean has a terrible time
Yeah.
getting to Haven Point, is it called?
Um,
What's the name of the... Oh, I
the
can't-
churchy place.
Churchy place.
I don't
Haven
know.
Point sounds
All
right.
I remember is that there was a wild mice ranch nearby, or like wild ranch mice 12 miles away. There was a road sign that was just like wild.
Where they
It
ranch
was like
mice.
Crazy Steve's wild
Yeah.
Mouse
mice.
ranch.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Anyway,
Well,
Yeah. Okay. Lots of trouble on the road. Let's start with the Sean falling asleep in his car and being rudely awakened.
okay.
I found this scene pretty tough. I think it was meant to be, a hard watch, quite grueling, as if poor Sean hasn't been through enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you guys choose? You basically have the choice, don't you, to be humiliated, is probably a fair word, by these racist jerks, or to sort of stand your ground and get beaten up a lot. So what did we do?
Well, I would take issue with the option, choosing the option to be humiliated. I think if you play along from the start and just kind of go passive, like, it doesn't feel good. But I think that's the game inviting you to be passive and to suffer through the kind of like the gamer's instinct is to be like, stand up for yourself, have a fight. I can take this guy because it's a video game.
Yes.
And I think actually it's the harder option to do the embarrassing stuff rather than
Agreed.
the hard option to watch him get punched some more.
Yeah.
I did the things. I don't know how it plays out if you at first resist and then kind of basically they ask you to say a bunch of stuff in Spanish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it starts kind of mild and then it gets kind of more ridiculous and more embarrassing. And the impression I got on looking into it was that if you resist at first, then they kind of double down on it and go even further. And obviously they are just grotesque human beings, especially one of them. One of them is like the kind of the dominant dude. And in my head I was role-playing it as like the more I do to get in trouble, the harder it is going to be to catch up with my brother, and everything is so tenuous already.
Yeah.
Like they've stopped you, you're on their land. There's, it's an extremely like dicey situation.
Yeah.
There's two of them and you are in a stolen car.
Yeah.
So you are completely boned if they escalate this any further.
Yeah.
And I guess a little bit of metagaming in that, like, they're not going to shoot and kill you. And, either way, you're probably going to end up back on the road.
Yep.
Role-playing it, I was like, I think he would want to see his brother so much. And he's learnt to in my head, he's a different character now than he was at the start of the season.
Sure.
And if he's learnt anything, it's that kind of like... kind of setting aside his ego for his like dumbass brother,
Because things can get out of control so quickly.
and I think that the really painful part about, I mean, the confrontation is obviously really, really ugly in a way that, rightly so. I think the stuff that's painful is that if you go along with it all like I did, it costs, I think it takes a psychological toll. Like it's really costly psychological. And then I don't know how different it is if you get beaten up. Maybe it's exactly the same thing. But when you're in the
really get
car
the crack kicked out of
afterwards, he's like driving and crying and like he screams fuck.
Yeah.
And, maybe it's the same.
That's exactly the same. So what?
Well, it means, I think it means a different, if you get beaten up and you're like fuck, and then, or if you willingly humiliated yourself, I mean, they're both enormous injuries. They're both extremely damaging, but in like opposite ways.
Well, speaking of there being obviously no good outcome out of that. So
Yeah.
The way that I was playing this was a little bit different. I mercifully have fairly limited life experience of being in those kind of nasty sort of potentially violent situations. But from what little I have experienced, I got the strong sense that this guy was going to beat you up, and it really didn't matter what you did. I really couldn't foresee an outcome where it's like you say some things in Spanish and then he's like, ha ha ha. Well, that was enough for me. I really felt like he was approaching that situation with an end goal in mind of somehow getting what he wanted.
and you were like, if I'm going to get beaten up either way, I'd rather...
Which was to punch you. Well, I wasn't... So I actually wasn't defiant. I actually found a sort of middle way because I was agonising so much over the choices. Actually, they are choices that time out. So I stayed silent.
Yeah. Okay.
I stayed silent for all of them.
Yeah.
And then I think there is a final sort of screen in half choice. And it's I think it might be whether to, what is it? Is it whether to get up again? No, that's later in the episode. But there's a final.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I basically didn't do any of the
Interesting.
the translating or the singing. Got beaten up real badly and had a terrible time. How about you, John?
That's exactly how it played out for me and Aoife, because I kind of in that at first it started out with like we don't want to give these racist people what they want. And then as it kind of went on, I guess there was a sense of inevitability about it. But to be honest, when I was playing it, it was one of those moments where I was, it really, I need to phrase this carefully, it pulled me out of the game and I was no longer role-playing it solely as a teenager. And I think the reason for that is, like, I am a white person and I don't really have to confront my whiteness very much. Like, white people don't really have to think about race very much because there's so much inherent racial privilege, like, ingrained in society. So when it was suddenly I was playing as this guy who had to choose either to capitulate through exhaustion at the fact that the world is so relentlessly racist, or get beaten up out of like a desire to not just cave, I felt like it was a conversation I didn't really have a place in, really. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that if I had got Sean to speak in Spanish or to start singing, that I was making a decision for him to capitulate, that, like, I don't know, it just didn't feel right for me as a white person to be like, here's a mixed race person and here's how I think they should handle racism, you know?
Yeah, I get it.
It's not as extreme as saying, like, well, if he just did everything the cop told him to, he'd still be alive, but it's a similar ballpark for me mentally. So
Interesting. I suppose if you look at it as I'm making a judgment, like a value judgment on which of these two courses of action is the better one, like which one would I recommend to somebody?
I would always recommend everyone in that situation to avoid violence at any cost. Like, if you're being mugged, hand over your stuff, and it's not quite that same sort of situation. But like,
the game is going for an emotional reaction, though. Obviously, the scene is that ugly because they want you to be. At a guess, they want you to be reacting emotionally, and I felt like the emotional reaction is like, stand up for yourself because this is so hateful and gross that it feels right to act out. And I guess, like, perversely, I'm like, well, I'm not going to. It's an interesting point, though. Really,
it's a
interesting.
tricky one.
Yeah,
It's a tricky one,
yeah.
and I think the only thing we can probably all 100% agree on is that it felt bad to be playing the game at that point. Geek with Glasses says, that made me cry. It's so realistic and very, very sad. One small technical note. John, could we get Johnny's mic slightly louder?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Okay,
it's
cool.
done. It's done. Let's see, what are other people saying? You get punched either way. Says,
What? I didn't get punched.
Oh, okay.
Wait, no,
okay.
maybe I did. It's been a while since I
Maybe you
played
only
it.
got like a
I feel like I
small
didn't
punch.
get beaten up very badly at all because the friend is like, we got to get out of here, leave him alone, and
Yeah. Geek with Glasses again. The whole game is such a great commentary on racism. You get humiliated or you get hurt very, very badly, and you have to think, what's worse?
Yeah.
There
He's
you
obviously
go.
like in a really fragile place, and if ideally you'd be like, fine, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get to my brother as fast and safely as possible because this is my one chance to catch up with him.
Mr.
But
Lenny.
yeah, at what cost?
Yeah, Mr. Lenny Shelby says, I noticed that people who haven't been in similar situations tend to choose to be defiant, and people who have tend to play along. Which is
That's interesting.
Interesting. Okay, shall we move on to the truck situation? Now, I also have a document with the most popular choices
Oh, I
that
love
everyone
those.
made. So when we talk about
Stat
this stuff,
screen.
in fact, let's catch up to what we've done so far.
Okay.
So 61% of people passed one of the vision eye tests.
Yeah, that sounds like.
Did you escaping the hospital? Most people escaped the hospital without hurting anyone. So Johnny, you and I are in the minority. You are in the 2%.
No, the 5%. I convinced Joey to help me escape.
That did
Oh,
seem
okay.
really hard.
Cool.
That
Okay.
is,
All right.
yeah.
I
That's an
attacked the
achievement.
guard along with 35% of folks. Finn, 41% of people didn't talk to Finn. I find that huge. People just...
Screw that guy.
Yeah, okay. Crazy. And then as for those difficult choices, 45% refused to sing the song and got beat up. 41% sang the song in Spanish.
Oh, it's not far off, like, sort of equal division there.
Yeah.
Now the truck, I thought really hard about getting in the truck.
Okay.
Looking at the percentages, almost everyone did. Only 14% of people chose not to get into the truck. What did you guys do? In the truck?
I did, yeah.
In the truck? Apparently, we're all getting in the stranger's truck.
I mean, again,
Cool.
not what I would recommend in real
No.
life, but the sequence preceding that, I think, is designed to show you like how
much you need to be
yeah,
in
how
the
much
truck.
you need. Like he's sunburned, he's
Yeah.
sweaty, he's so skinny, and he's suffering so much. And you just you can almost see the air conditioning in that like cab.
You can, my God, you
And
can just feel how
you can
comfy
feel it,
that
yeah,
big
exactly.
dude is.
And I don't know, probably on what actually no, I think I do have a problem with like metagaming it, but I feel like the writer is like, I want to present you with the worst of humanity, and now here's how people can be good too. And I thought it would seem narratively like unlikely that someone would be like, oh, hey, check this guy out, he's also going to beat you up and will make you sing in Spanish.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit cynical maybe on my part.
I was terrified of getting in the truck because the previous scene had been so horrible.
Oh,
Yeah.
But
okay.
it was because everything was like you could see the sweat standing on his skin.
Yeah.
And like you say, you could just feel how cool that truck must have been.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
It's going to take hours otherwise.
Yeah.
It's like, we've just got to take this chance. It was proper end of his tether
Yeah.
kind of thing. It
I
was
wonder
just
what it
grim.
costs you, or it costs the character if you don't get in the cab. Do you know this?
If you walk.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I know you get there and you do walk. Here's the thing. All the way through this episode, you are given choices that can end in Sean getting really hurt. So I got, I got beaten up, by the two jerks. And I didn't walk, but then I did get beaten up quite badly again by the sort of lackey at the church later on.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I was really thinking that there would come a point in the end where Sean is so hurt that he loses the option to do something.
Yeah, that's my assumption. Because otherwise, I mean, obviously, no one wants to see a cutscene or any sequence where he's getting beaten up. But does it actually penalise you?
As far
in
as I can
the
tell,
end of the episode?
as far as I can tell, you can get beaten up and beaten up and beaten up,
And all your options
and
are
it
still
doesn't,
there.
and it doesn't take any options off the table. As far as I could tell, because as I said, I got beaten up loads.
Yeah.
And I definitely got what is the
I took
good
every single punch.
best ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you, in the truck, did you eat the under the seat wedge? Because do you remember, like,
Oh,
in the truck when he's just like, here's a sad slipper of a ham sandwich. Do you want
okay,
it? It's
that
like-
was really good because once we'd got into the truck, I thought that would be the last decision. I based the sandwich decision entirely on the fact that we had briefly glimpsed a photo of the truck driver's family, and I thought, he's all right.
Serial killers can put photos on their dashboard.
I know, but Sean was also starving, right?
I ate the sandwich. Don't get me wrong.
I ate the sandwich.
freaking
Oh,
ate the
no.
sandwich.
Propped up.
Very cool.
His last sandwich
It's like-
victims.
In for a penny, in for a pound. Like I'm in the cab of your truck.
Yeah, in the cab of the truck.
Have the
like,
sandwich.
if this is laced with rat poison, then
Look, I'll entrust
So be it.
myself to your care in a vehicle that's going quite fast and weighs hundreds and hundreds of tons.
Yeah.
But I'm not eating a sandwich. No way.
Oh.
Annika Brock says, I metagamed it, figured it'd be fine since something bad
Yes.
just happened
Yeah.
and got in.
Yes.
It's hard
Luckily,
to
I
turn
was
that
right.
voice off.
Yeah,
to be
it's
honest.
really
Yeah,
hard
yeah,
to turn it
yeah.
off, and I feel like I should try harder because that's not obviously the way it's intended to be
Yeah.
experienced. Anyway,
If Life is Strange ever leaves you a rocket launcher and loads of ammo before a big room, you know something bad's coming.
here we go.
Jefferson, no!
Oh, imagine rocket launching Jefferson.
Yes,
That would be
please.
amazing.
That would be great.
Angel Beat says the ham is people.
I mean, yeah. What if it was and there's no ill effects and
Yeah.
it's never revisited? You
Yeah, it's
just
just...
canonically ate some people.
Yeah, you ate the road ham.
Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Lenny Shelby says, ironically, not getting into the truck gets you to the destination faster because there is no cutscene with the
Oh
driver.
right. You just cut to.
Yeah.
Bet you're more sunburned or something. I don't know.
I don't know. Dovikin the Sardine says, I thought I might die in the desert, so I rode with the
God.
trucker. Yeah.
I mean,
You gotta-
yeah, if it was a real life thing, you probably could have died of exposure and
Yeah.
sunburn and
yeah.
Heat
dehydration.
stroke, yeah.
The game only has you walk a very short distance, but
Yeah.
it's enough to convince you. Like, I think you sort of get a vague measurement of how far you've walked. And
And
like,
it's gonna be
and now
way,
we're-
way, way
I can't
more,
remember how far
yeah.
it is. It's a distance that probably, if it was, if you had all day and it was like nice weather, if you were going for like a
Bit
walk
of
in the
shade.
British
Yeah,
countryside,
yeah.
it's like a good long day walk to a country pub.
No, it was like a sort of death march.
But it's
And
not, yeah.
I picked up a sun-bleached skull. And I think that
What?
was
I
a
didn't
yeah.
see
Did
it.
you not?
Did
There's a collectible,
Oh,
and then he
yeah.
picks it up and he's like, "Oh, little bro will really like this." And I was like, "Oh, that's cute," because he will
A
really
human
like it.
skull.
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I picked up a human skull and thought,
from
Daniel will love
from
this.
under the
This
truckers.
one,
No,
It's like a
so-
burger box. It's just
Just
Look
like
in the eye socket. There's a ham sandwich.
I was so impressed
too
with.
soon.
I was so impressed with like the deadliness of the heat and the sun,
Yeah.
I suppose.
Yeah.
Because you find this like sun bleached, I don't know what it is, like a rabbit skull or some sort of small mammal, and he says something to himself like, "Oh, I'm going to take this to my to Daniel," because it's the kind of thing a little boy would like. And I thought, oh, that's really sweet, but also, like to think it's a bad place to be wandering around for another few hours.
Amazification says, I'm happy just to never know if I've incidentally eaten people.
Would probably be better not to know, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
If you did.
I've got a checkered history of talking about cannibalism on the internet.
Yeah,
so
people in the comments are noting that
I'm
fact.
going to zip it.
Oh, apparently if you don't get onto the truck, you walk slowly in the next scene. So I guess maybe...
Oh, because you're
sort of-
all like worn
You're
out,
all
and
tired, yeah.
I guess that would have been like mechanically
You are slightly
frustrating
punished,
to be like walking around slowly.
Yeah, 86% of people got in the truck, so it was not, in the end,
man.
that's divisive.
A lot of sandwiches.
That harder decision
Wow.
for people. Yeah.
You must have seemed really likable or trustworthy.
I
I
guess.
don't know if that's a great lesson. If people look nice and trustworthy, then they are. So
Yeah.
Oh well.
Right, I think it's time to move on to our next talking point, which is the one that I am the most keen to really get into. So we're going to talk about what did you make of Karen, the return of the long-lost mother. John, roll that clip like there's no tomorrow.
Daniel, hey! Daniel.
Sean?
Karen?
You won't get him back like this. Let's go.
Oh, Karen.
Wow. That was quite a low key, quite a downbeat reveal.
I loved it. It was
Yeah,
like
you
a
really like
punch in
that?
the stomach, but then like it was Sarah Connor, basically. I was just like, yes, here comes mum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was amazed at the Loki reveal. At first, it was like Karen. I was like, wait, who's Karen? Because I've always sort of like internalized that as like, oh, find mum. It's Sean calls her Karen.
Of course,
but
yeah.
Daniel says
Mom.
Mom.
Yeah.
So at first I was like, the hell is Karen? And I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
It's
That
Sean's.
Karen.
It's for
Sean's
you to
mum.
have that reaction, not Sean, really. Sean's
Yeah.
Sean's got a lot going on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
like
I
his
think
mum
so.
suddenly turn up is like the least of his worries at that point. But as the
Yeah.
player, you're like, oh, it's you. Yeah, that's not where I expected her to pop up. Yeah.
So, obviously, Life is Strange loves getting into child-parent drama.
Yeah.
I thought that this was pretty well handled. I thought that the choices that it gave you were pretty tricky. The choices that I made definitely didn't reflect how I was feeling inside.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Okay.
So you're basically given quite a lot of conversation with Karen.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, I was very, very unsympathetic to her rationalizations, to her reasoning. There was no forgiveness from me. I found all of her like, oh, sometimes you just have to spread your wings and move to the other side of the country and start a failed business. And I just didn't go for that. It didn't wash with me. No.
Why not?
It's not good enough. It just wasn't
Why
good
not?
enough. Well, because I just found her like, you know what? Some people just aren't cut out for responsibility, and it's like, well, yes, but like, okay, I accept that you were, not cut out to be a mother. How could you have known that before you were a mother? There's no way of knowing, and here you are, and so you left. But then why would you expect me to be nice to you or to forgive you? Like, it's like, I can accept you, but that's about as far as I could go. The idea that you would be like cool with it, like the idea that you would be okay with the concept that she just
Gave herself permission.
to leave, and I didn't like all of the sort of little jokey asides about your dad, like, oh, he was always such and such and such. Like,
Yeah, you kind of you
he
lose
was
the
nice.
right to make nostalgic quips about how someone used to be.
there was a lot of
when you
nostalgic
ran out.
quips
Yeah.
for
Haven't seen that
an
lighter
absent
in a
parent.
while. No, you probably haven't, Mum. You ran out on us.
Yes.
That kind of thing.
Do you remember? That's why you haven't seen it. You know what
Yeah.
else you haven't seen? Daniel.
Yeah. Yeah.
us.
Aw.
And yeah, obviously it's not her fault that you're in this situation, you know. And yeah, not everyone is cut out to be a parent, and you may not know that until it happens. Sure. And you know, parents split up. It happens. But the idea that you would then just be like, I'm sorry, it just wasn't for me, so we're cool. You know.
Is that what
enough.
you got? Is that what she was saying? I mean,
That's what
it's been a while, so I may have misremembered
that's
it.
what I felt. I felt like she was expecting a bit too much of
I would like to go back and inspect whether that's what she said. Like, will you please forgive me?
Yeah,
or whether it was.
I may have
let's
been
go and
bringing
get
too
your
much.
brother.
I may have been bringing too much heat to the situation. I may have been so ready to dislike. All that said, though, I did all of the choices that were like, yeah, we're cool, yeah, like we'll smoke and reminisce.
You
and
were
stuff.
metagaming, or you were role playing.
I was role playing it, but
Okay.
like Sean needs her.
Yeah.
It doesn't benefit Sean to push her away at that point. Push her away later. That's what I'm hoping. Episode 5 will just give you the chance to sort of like shut a door as you and Daniel are going through it.
Okay, I was really on guard against. Firstly, I think if her excuses seemed weak and shallow, it's because actually you didn't really dig into them. Like the conversation, yeah, you do talk to her for a fair while.
Yeah.
But like if your mother had been like gone from your life for years and years and years, it would days and weeks to really dig into like, no, but I know that's what you're saying, but what really happened? Like, how really was it?
How did that manifest rather than this little soundbite you've digested?
Exactly. So, like, the first thing you say to your estranged son is like, why did you leave? Like, I don't think that's going to be the truth. It's not going to be the whole truth. And I was really prone for, like, the way society judges a mother who abandons her child is, like, really intense. Have you ever seen The Hours?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the stigma attached to like a mother who decides to who decides to walk away from a family, like it's kind of a trope with like absent fathers, and not that they don't get judged, but it's sort of expected, and that's what makes it so sort of deviant for a mother to be like, turns out I'm not meant to be a mother. Turns out I'm walking away. Not that that makes it right or justified, but I guess maybe I overcorrected for judging her based on her lack of sort of motherhood skills.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really.
I know what you mean. That trope is real, and that societal bias is real.
Yeah. But. Yeah, I mean, if it were my mother, I would probably be furious and never forgive her regardless. But that's, you know, that's the way that works. I was trying to give her the benefit of the doubt, and I don't really think you had enough to kind of fully judge it either way. But then if I were her son, it wouldn't be my job to like research it and get all the information and get a balanced view. Yeah.
It's hard to know what you're like. Yeah, what you're sort of bringing to the thing. I like to think that if the game had started with your mother dying and then your dad had shown up, I would be similarly unsympathetic. I hope.
Yeah. I suppose you would.
I can only hope.
I think a lot more people would be though. You know, we've all seen that "Why Don't He Want Me, Man" episode of The Fresh Prince. It's all burned into our souls. Yeah. And I think if the gender roles were reversed, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how I would feel about it.
It's a tricky one.
Yeah. So when I played it through with Aoife, we ended up smoking and reminiscing, and we actually ended up in a pretty good place. But I think what really drove us was very much the sense it was like, we need to be on the same side right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
We need to get him back, and then we need to sort this out. And I don't know if there is an option. I seem to remember there is a thing where he's like, we're gonna have a talk about this. Like we're not done talking about this.
Yeah, definitely. That makes the most sense.
Yeah,
let's put a pin in it for now.
Yeah. I think there was I seem to remember the conversation is flowing and you have the opportunity to be kind of like, yes, you know, you're giving, you know, very, and then right at the end there's one final one where you can be like, hold up, we are not friends. Let's go get Daniel.
It's about how much you're pushing back throughout the conversation.
I just felt like the most mature thing was just be cooperative. Let's get Daniel and then hopefully slam that door.
We played it a bit differently in that we kind of, on the way through it, we kept inviting Karen to keep talking. We kept asking her questions, but we kept pushing back and telling her why what she was saying was kind of just like we weren't sympathetic towards it. It was like, okay, well that's what you're saying, but what about this? Why didn't you think about this?
Yeah,
we gave her a real grilling.
Yeah, that's what you want. Yeah.
And then I think at the end of it, there was that moment where, you know, you're just having a cigarette and the conversation dies down, where everyone's just like, well, that was a thing. And it's kind of like there was a catharsis there solely through having had it out, not necessarily that any resolution was reached. And I think, again, just because, not to meta it again, but there is another episode, and this game is all about family, so of course it's not over. And I think they needed to give it some stuff to run with. Because,
Yes, that's true. Yeah, it would seem so lame and artificial to, like, now we've had our heart-to-heart family therapy, and now we're great, and now let's go and get
like Fade to
Daniel.
Black, he's finally fallen asleep with his head in his mum's lap, and she's stroking his stubbly head. No. Like, Hot Dog Man is not going on that television.
There's one thing I would say about all the conversations with Karen were the point in the game where I was most on the lookout for that trope in dialogue games, where the little snippet of option that you choose is not going to be like what you say.
Oh, yeah.
There were loads of points where I was like, okay, so it says to sort of say, like, the option will be like, doesn't matter or something. And I'm
but
like,
what are you really
what
going
doesn't
to
matter?
say?
What are we actually going to say?
Yeah,
and then you would get like a little tiny teaser and then launch into. I felt like just for that we really needed the entire next bit of script transcript, like tiny.
I know what you mean.
Paragraphs.
Yeah.
There's. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
There's some good stuff in the chat on this subject. Grumpiplier says to not even try to contact the boys either, like just erase herself from existence entirely, was cold as hell. That is a very salient point. I think I guess I forgot to mention that, but I think that was one of the other things that, like, mentally I was counting against Karen, that she'd made no effort to get in touch and excused it with kind of, I just thought it would be a cleaner break for you. Like,
that's stupid.
That's a real clean break.
But I mean,
with no contact from my mother.
That's a terrible, terrible excuse. But it's kind of what made me think of The Hours. That I think it's the Julianne Moore character in The Hours, and she basically has a mental breakdown, and it's not the right thing to do by her children, but it's the only thing she can psychologically face is just to like flee. And I mean, not that I don't think necessarily that's what the character did, or that you're even led to believe that, but I guess it kind of just coloured my thinking on it a little bit, because I don't buy that what she said is enough or, you know, a full explanation. I think it's what she's willing to say. And I guess that was my only way I could explain not contacting someone for that long.
I think what's far more likely is that she ran out and feels guilty or had other stuff going on, or I feel like, yes, you're obviously right. It may have made sense for her. It may have been better for the kids in the first instance, for her not to be involved. But then, she's gone for years, though. You know, like, and she seemed fairly, you know, fairly all right when you meet her.
She's very soft-spoken. She seems like someone who's, I don't know, a bit damaged.
Yeah, but I think if you know that about your mum, if you know, like, well, she has her own, like, personal demons, and that's why she left, and, you know, we see her twice a year, and she sends us a Christmas card, and I know this about her. I feel like that's got
a very
potential
different
for
story,
a
isn't it?
much healthier. You can, like, many people have good relationships with both of their parents, but those parents aren't together anymore.
But many people have, like, family estrangements that are so, like, absolute, and if you don't have one of those, it seems so weird and alien. But it does happen. Like, people don't see very close family members for years and years and years without any kind of contact. So it seems alien, but it does happen.
Yeah.
And I don't pretend to understand, like, the kind of the psychological mechanism of, like, maybe I'll call them tomorrow. I can't face calling them. Maybe I'll call them tomorrow, and then I just still can't. And the longer you leave it, the harder it is.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not making a case for it. I kind of believe there are ways that could happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Acceptance.
Also, I think I felt really ill-equipped to do that whole sequence. I felt really blindsided because I was convinced she was going to be like some kind of psychic in a government lab who'd
Oh,
been
yeah.
locked away, and that's why she can't. That's
Yeah.
why she can't come and help us.
When
is
you were
because
born in a tube, we called you number 3. or
Yeah,
something.
because that's where the telekinetic powers come from. If
Yeah.
again, if we've learned nothing else from Life is Strange, is that telekinetic powers come from literally nowhere or anywhere, not necessarily your mum.
They come from the heart, from a real strength of feeling.
Oh,
That's what it is.
But
From a
when she
real-
just turned up, that's why I found it so like low key.
Yeah,
Because
okay.
you're not finding her, or she's not finding you in like some action set piece where she's escaped from a lab or a Professor Xavier's like school for gifted
School for wayward
mutants.
mothers.
Yeah, and I was so convinced it was that there was going to be more to it. That it's actually really brilliant. That it is such a sad, meager reason to not be there. Is that you're lame and you're a bad mom and you weren't, suitable for motherhood. Yeah.
it's classic Life is Strange, really.
It is
Just
classic Life
At
is
every
Strange.
turn, it defeats your expectations that there's some exciting reason for anything.
Yeah.
And actually, it's just a bunch of
Remember
random
when
sad things
Rachel's
happening.
mom is not Rachel. Yeah, Rachel's mom.
Yeah, Rachel's mum,
She's a
yeah.
disappointing mother. Like another disappointing mum.
And I thought Rachel had powers. I really did. I
Me
still kind
too.
of do.
Me too.
To be honest.
For real. There's some Disturbed Demon says it's not really you forgiving Karen with how the two interact in the hotel. It is more the fact of you either accepting her reasons or not, which is an interesting point.
I think you'd be justified in not accepting them because they're inadequate at that point. Yeah.
Or you can accept that it explains but does not excuse what happened.
Yeah.
Like, so that was your reasoning.
Yeah, I
Still
think it's
rubbish,
like
but
let's go get Daniel, but we're gonna get into this later.
It's like you
for
wait till I
sure.
get you home, Mum,
Yeah.
to our new home in another country because
yeah.
we're fugitives.
Yeah. When we get to Mexico, we're really gonna have this out.
Well, I think we could probably spend the rest of the live stream talking about the character of Karen. Thank you all for your comments. They're all really good. I can see that some people are sharing some very personal stuff in the chat. So thank you for sharing that. And hope everyone is well. And I think we will move on now to talking about another interesting character, and that is Joshua.
Yeah.
I barely recognised him.
I had a thought. I was like, Joshua is his name, right?
Joshua, yeah.
Joshua. Let's roll clip Joshua.
Jake, I'm not mad, but you better explain everything.
I didn't know where else to go. Listen, I saw Daniel come back to the camp that night. Like, he was in shock or something. Then I heard all these sirens, and I got scared. I packed a few things, I took a blanket from your tent, and we left together.
Funny seeing the gifts. Hey!
Jane, you were just saying that we made a correct prediction like clever geniuses?
Yes, we did. Let's take credit for it now. I was going to do it, off camera, but
No, quick now.
The way Joshua reacts when he sees Daniel's powers for the first time, you can see it turns something, and
it's like when there's like the cha-ching and they get dollar signs in the eyes, but instead it's just Christ.
Yeah. Yes, exactly that. Little cartoon crosses. But I think it's sort of set up for you to expect that because I think if you read his diary or something, it's like I was looking for a sign, and suddenly here's this angelic child with powers.
Yeah.
So we kind of called it a little bit, but enough gloating, Luke. What do you want to say?
First, I want to say that his name is Jacob. We were all wrong.
No!
Everyone in the chat's like, and we were like, yeah, let's roll clip Joshua. Well, he's going to have to be Joshua now.
It sounded
420
so
Josh
right.
it. Yeah, exactly.
Oh dear, I'm sorry, Jacob.
It is, Jake. It's Jake or Jacob. Yeah, that's
okay.
right. That's right.
None of you people have played Life is Strange.
Oh my god.
We've just read the wikis.
Oh, Jakey.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jake. I barely recognised him with his smooth baby face and no plaid shirt and.
Yeah. No longer the wild man. Wild
Yeah.
man Jake. Now
Yeah.
just the living in the religious cult.
So, Johnny, what was your
Jake.
take on Jacob these days?
I mean, so in the previous episode, I was convinced he was going to abscond with Daniel. So when we were going around the campfire, I kept saying to Aoife, I was like, where's our brother? Find him. Where is it? Where is he? Where's Jacob? Where's Jacob? So when he turned up, I was still a bit like, I'll be honest with you, when he turned up, I was like, ugh, I couldn't be asked.
This
I was like,
guy.
this is another complication. It was like, yes, you are the vehicle by which our brother came into this religious cult. Of course we'll try and get your sister, but I was just I don't know what it was. I just bounced off him a bit. I was just a bit fatigued. So we did what he wanted. We left on good terms. He gave us the money. No, we let him keep the money for his sick sister, and then we were just like, "That's
Well, bye. See you never.
yeah, chill." Like
Yeah.
what? I mean, all he could do at that point was offer us a favor, ask for a favor. Sorry, because it was like, okay, we know where our brother is, but that was information we had, and I feel like I'm being very, very harsh on him. But at the same time, it's like I personally am not getting anything out of this conversation.
Yeah.
And Daniel is not really getting anything out of this apart from a to-do list that's a bit longer than it was because your sister's really sick.
Yeah. Oh, the sick sister was tugging at my heartstrings. I don't know if I'll survive this Christmas.
She's evicted the Dickensian orphan.
The consumption.
I didn't mind Jacob in this, actually. I really mistrusted and sort of disliked him a bit in the last episode, but I figure if someone hadn't scooped Daniel up, and I know he ended up in a bad place, but someone needed to take charge of Daniel couldn't have escaped that situation at the end of episode 4 on his own.
Yeah.
Someone needed to take him away. I mean, ideally it would have been Cassidy, and she would have, taken Daniel and put him somewhere safe.
Yeah.
But someone needed to
Lovely
take care of him
Cassidy.
after that explosive drama, literal explosive drama. And I think what helped was that he had a moment where he's like, I've seen this kid has got sort of supernatural powers. Maybe I was wrong to reject my faith. Maybe they were right all along. I'm going to take this miracle child home. If by the time you encounter him, he's right back in it, he's full on worshipping Daniel.
Yeah.
Then I'd have been like, screw you, Jacob.
Yeah.
I always knew you were wrong. But he's already had his kind of he's already turned again away from his kind of churchy cult thing and gone, oh, I was so wrong, I'm really sorry, I brought him here because I thought it was the sign I needed, but actually I was wrong again. So and
you get a little bit more sort of backstory into how he ended up leaving Haven Point in the first place. It
True.
sort of suggested that he was subjected to conversion therapy.
Oh yeah,
Oh god, I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah.
It's hard to be mad after that.
Yeah, it's very hard to be mad after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I was all right with Jake. For me, you don't get that conversation until quite near the end when he was sort of searching the office or something.
That's true.
It's
that's true.
It's very much kind of quite close to the end if you're assuming that Jake has or Jacob Joshua has nothing left to do in episode 5.
I think we've seen the last of him.
Yeah, I think I was primarily motivated by this kind of. I wanted to save the little sister.
I saw somebody in the chat refer to her as Tiny Tim.
That's Claire T.
She's very tiny.
God bless everyone. That's what got you into this mess, young lady.
She's riding around on his shoulder with a little crutch.
Bing dum bang, bing bang, bing diddly doo bang.
And Tiny Tim, who did not die. Nephew and niece to me.
Oh god, it's so nearly Christmas.
Anyway.
Oh, Jacob.
Grumpy Plier says nobody has good intentions when you cut a child's hair that way.
That's a solid rule.
Yeah.
You mean the bowl cut on Daniel?
I assume so. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, also, before we move away from hair, I know I talk about this for too long every time we do Life is Strange.
Hair.
I was livid that you start the episode with a mandatory haircut. I had worked so hard to grow out my hair and avoid the haircut. I loved the tangled wildness.
I also
wanted
did
it to get longer and longer.
But I think it suits him as well. The extremely
He looks
short
like
cut.
such a badass.
Especially
when Karen's like, "Here, I got you this eye patch."
Yeah.
Stone Cold Killer.
Yeah. He's
like,
so rangy and
It's wonderful.
It was great.
I can imagine Hideo Kojima just looking at that scene and being like, "Damn it! Wish I'd made my protagonist look like that. Hey, Norman Reedus, can you cut your hair, please?"
Yeah.
Look out for Hideo Kojima Instagram photos with the voice actor who looks like and plays Sean.
Yeah.
And now they're best friends and they hang out in Japan
Oh,
together.
amazing.
Yeah, he's got the look of a Hideo Kojima ingenue.
Oh god,
you know? Anyway, look out for that. And you just said Venom Sean because he's gone gritty and dark now. Yeah.
Jamie Webb says, I totally get Luke's hair rage. I was the same. There we go.
It takes
he
a
did have a
while to
lovely
grow your
haircut.
hair out. I've been doing it for like 18 months. It's boring.
Yeah, and there's a long stage in the middle where it's neither long nor short, and that's hard
The
to muscle
mid stages
through.
are horrible. I hate them.
You can't see behind the laptop screen. Hang on. This.
Oh, she's gone now. Oh no, we just gaslit
There
like
was a
hundreds
dog.
of people.
There was a dog
Take
here.
our word for it.
There was a dog.
Oh,
There was a Watson.
Yeah.
There
I
was a
see.
Wa-
Yep.
There was a Watson there. Oh, we've lost producer John.
Don't give that.
No, now that you've...
Yeah.
Too late.
It's already a gift.
Too late. It's already given. Somehow the universe...
There was a dog. I think you could see a bit of
hello.
her head.
Watson's
The
down
universe.
here now.
The universe is just gifted.
Watson, she's licking my hand.
Hands up. Everybody, hands where I can see them.
Okay. Right. Moving on.
I got her. She's
Okay.
down here.
So I would say probably Jacob. I was about to call him Joshua again. Is probably Jashub Marley is probably our way into talking about how this episode deals with religion. I would say my gut reaction was that whereas there were some like issues that this episode and that Life is Strange deals with very sort of subtly, I felt like it was painting with a fairly broad brush here.
Yeah.
Obviously you were meeting like some pretty extreme religious views in Haven Point.
Yes. But also self-interest. I think that
Yeah.
was one thing it took pains to point out. It's like,
Yes.
these people aren't serving God; they're only serving themselves.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
It's a money
Exactly.
flow.
Oh
thing.
yeah, I got that really strongly. It's self-interest and greed and power and control and and very little theology.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Hello.
She's been very
Ah,
trusting
yum,
of you
yum,
since
yum.
you're in a t-shirt that says "Destroy Pup."
Oh
But,
no.
Not this pup.
just as a BT dubs.
Not this.
Yeah, you stay there,
Not
Watson.
this part.
There we go.
Not this.
Not this pup. Religion though.
Oh yeah.
What's that
Tell
all
all
about?
about it. What is the deal?
When you're going through the house, when you're kind of like ransacking, that's when you get like all of your sort of clues that actually like everything is not as it seems with the church. That it and you obviously have the scenes like with the miracle in air quotes where Daniel is moving the crucifix sort of through the air and stuff, and then it's like and donations.
It was super Bioshock Infinite. Like, is the vibe I got from it. Possibly because I was replaying it recently because I don't have to play relevant video games anymore.
Yeah. You can play what you like.
Yeah,
Amazing.
that game does not hold up. But it was just it was the very evangelical, like, thin facade, and beneath it lurks a horrible morass of violence kind of thing.
Yes.
Like, that I got. And it from the instant we turned up and we saw the leaflet being like, come meet the miracle boy. I felt so uncomfortable.
Buy picnic tickets to have a picnic with the miracle boy.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
I did get the sense that I guess I didn't really believe that everyone living in Haven Point would have bought into it. You know, I mean, like, it did seem really paper thin. I know that Daniel is levitating stuff and actually does, but it did feel a bit like everyone in Haven Point is just kind of like falling over themselves with kind of like blind religious.
Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't you
I
if
don't
you
know.
saw an actual miracle?
I guess, but I don't know. I think I would see it in the context of, well, I mean, he's being kept in that house. They sort of won't let him out. He's sort of like trotted out to do a miracle. And also there's this kind of like, and now donations.
Okay,
come
maybe
back,
if it was
fundraising.
100 years ago, then maybe you'd buy it. But like as a modern phenomenon, you think people would be a little more. Is this okay? Is that boy alright?
Yeah, I suppose that would be my first thought. Like, I feel like it seemed a little unrealistic that no one in Haven Point was like, is this boy good? Where did this boy come from?
I think it depends on how powerful the lady was before he turned up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I think from the background of what we get with Jacob is that they were quite powerful before. And it's almost like the boy turning up is like, I told you I was a prophet.
True.
I was biding my time. God's properly given me his seal of
And
approval
here we
now.
are, yeah.
And it's this boy with a tragic haircut. So, I don't know. Yeah, that is the thing. I mean, obviously the whole thing was meant to feel just like a racket to us, but it really did in a way that I think it sort of started to push the boundaries of believability in context.
Yeah, it kind of has to be rushed a bit.
Yeah.
Like, you don't really get into it. a little bit like the Karen stuff. Like, it's a lot very fast, and you come to it as an outsider, so it is kind of hard to buy. The fervor. It might have taken a lot more for you to go, oh no, I see how this works. Like, she is a charismatic cult leader, and I do see how, where she's coming from. But yeah.
Also, I felt like the lackey, I can't remember any of the names now. The guy who, like, the really menacing guy. He was just such a like eyebrow wiggling villain. He was basically twirling a moustache.
Yeah. And that's all you get, and you're like, this isn't a believable cult from the outside.
I don't know, because I think organisations like that do draw in people who just want to hurt people. Like, if you look at Westboro Baptist, like, some of the people who were really close to Phelps when he was still alive were clearly just thugs, and like Scientologists have their own sort of wing of enforcers and things like that. I just like it. I believed it. He was very cartoon villainy. Yeah, not as bad as Jefferson in episode 5.
But you believed that he was basically an unpleasant, violent person who'd found somewhere where he faces no sort of crisis of conscience.
Exactly, and he's just looking for an excuse, and you are a walking one.
Okay, well, I think that's enough, Jake. I think we have to move, or Joshua, I think we have to move on to, big question, where are we at with Daniel right now? Let's roll that clip, John.
Listen, I know I wasn't a great brother. I was an asshole. I took you for granted. I put you in danger, and I'm sorry.
Sure, don't listen to him. He left you just like that harlot did. Shut him up.
He can hit me as much as he wants. I won't give up on you.
Don't hit him.
Don't let them do that, Daniel.
It's very similar. Hey.
You were just remarking, Jane, a very apt point that there was some character.
Yes, if anyone's watched The Sinner season 2, there's one of the main characters is kind of the leader, a very important figure in a cult, and she has a little boy, and there's a lot of resonance there. Yeah. Which interests me if the writers had an eye on that as well.
So, Daniel, where are we with that little pain in the backside?
A little wretch.
I feel more positively toward him now than at the end of the previous one, because at the end of the previous episode I wanted to pick him up and shake him until his teeth came loose, because he, I think because Aoife and I had worked really hard to develop a good relationship with him, and we felt like we were being pretty good, like, surrogate parents, and then suddenly he was like, I'll do what I want.
I love Finn now.
Exactly. And when he's still got Finn's bracelet, it was like, Finn?
Oh, that hurt me when
Fun
you
Uncle
find,
Finn.
Right?
Yeah. Funkle Finn. But I kind of felt like after what he'd done, he didn't know whether or not he'd killed his own brother. He fled because he was afraid. Yeah. And he got taken somewhere because he is still a young, vulnerable boy. And then he got sort of talked into, I guess he just sort of got persuaded into going along with this weird cult because he just wanted to be secure and stop running for a bit.
Yeah, I mean, what was his other option? Yeah. He's a small child. He can't, like, strike out on his own,
Like, he's going to get in the truck because he has to, because he's 9. And then I think we've seen from his interactions with Chris, Captain Spirit, that he really just wants to be able to do his power stuff and just have it be accepted, because he kind of wants to be normal again, even though he's extraordinary. So I think it would be very easy for him to be manipulated, being like, we're your family now, and look, you get to levitate this cross when we ask you to do it, and then like then we'll take you back to the little shack. You know? I think it was just a path of least resistance with him, and I sort of forgave him for it, especially since when we'd been beaten half to death, and he was like, oh, I would actually quite like to go home now. That was nice. At least. Yeah. I don't know. This episode was pushing it for me a little bit, just because obviously by the point that and the game is obviously doing this deliberately, but by the point where you get to the church, Sean is like bleeding and sunburned and starving, and his eye is missing, and he sort of like basically face plants into the church, bleeding from everywhere, and Daniel's like, Sean, I don't like you. And I was I know he's only a little boy, and he didn't see what we went through, and neither should he have to, but it was
it was pushing the limits of my patience. Absolutely, like the way that he was just like, well, no, Sean. Obviously, I want to stay here. Can Sean stay? No, Sean. I'm hearing a no.
That's
awkward. Bye, brother.
I totally get it, because when I arrived at, like you say, faceplant right down the aisle.
Yeah.
Into the font. And you've been through so much, and this little shit's cost you an eye.
Yeah.
And you've done everything for him, and I think the point where you turn around and I think you kind of like shove the lady just lightly in a way that is completely understandable.
And
she sells it like an Italian defender.
Yeah.
And like Daniel runs in and is like, "Oh my god, I can't, my brother, what have you done?" And I'm like, a little bit of
goddamn faith, Arthur.
Yeah, a little bit of goddamn faith, Daniel. Come on, please.
Also, you exploded a drug den.
Yeah, exactly. I felt like he owed me so much. I think by the end of it, though, I've reached a place where I'm like, I am never going to like Daniel because he's a little shit.
Yeah.
But in the context of the game, he is my brother, and I think the point of that brotherhood for me is that you're going to do everything to protect him, and you're going to love him, and you're going to sacrifice for him, and you're going to get hurt for him, but I'm never going to like him, and that's how it is.
I think that's fair.
So I think I've stopped expecting to like him, because I think
she's just getting comfy, so she's kicking you in the stomach. I'm sorry.
I think
that's allowed.
Some children, and especially Daniel, are just intrinsically unlikable, but not unlovable. He's my brother. He's all I've got.
You have to love him. You don't have to like him.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
That's the
family.
Secret to family.
Yeah.
That is a great attitude. There was a point in the episode where you sort of get a choice between two things, and it's basically whether you sort of tell Daniel that you kind of forgive him and that you're fine with the explosion at the end of the thing. And I was like, oh well, look, obviously, Daniel, he's only a kid, blah 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 blah. And I think I chose the choice that was like, man, don't worry about it. You didn't know what you were doing, or something like that.
Okay.
And I immediately regretted it, because while Daniel should not. While he is a kid and he shouldn't be treated like an adult or made to behave or experience or understand things like an adult. At the same time, children that age, they need to learn consequences. And I really feel that what Daniel needed at that moment was a really stern.
You should have made him look at the socket.
Yeah.
Come over here.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Yeah. Poke it, Daniel.
It needs swabbing.
Yeah, you get to clean this. Yeah.
I feel like Daniel, obviously he's a kid, should be forgiven, should not be punished. But like, I felt like actually the choice I'd made was to kind of don't even worry about it. You're just a baby. Nothing. Consequences don't matter to you.
Yeah, I'm baby.
Kids need to learn consequences. Did I do that? Slamming cougars onto trees.
What if that's the thing that's gonna come back and bite us? Because every episode you do teach him something.
Yeah.
Like you teach him not to use his powers against other people violently or whatever.
Yeah.
And all that kind of stuff. What if it is like nothing is ever my fault?
Oh.
I will be livid if that is the thing.
Yeah.
I would admire that. Like if this innocuous conversation where you're like, don't worry, it's fine, and that's the turning point for him, where he's like, everything I do is fine.
Yeah.
My arms taste amazing, apparently.
Yeah, I think Watson's trying to comfort
so salty.
Yeah, she's gonna chew your wrist. She's in the wrist gang.
Yay, chewing.
Watson tries to fit people's entire wrists in her mouth when she really likes them. She's a strange dog.
You're blessed.
Yeah, she really.
Blessed.
No, she really likes you.
Favoured.
That's what it is. It's she wouldn't like. You can just stick a whole hand in her mouth. Come here. Fine.
Oh, sweetie.
She's a sweetie.
Oh, sweetie.
Yeah, there we go.
And we're upside down now. And now we're fully. Oh.
Let me just get this ground.
Right in the spine.
Sorry.
Oh,
you carry on.
Okay. Right. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Predictably, it's mostly just
Watson chat.
I want to be Luke right now and get licked by Watson, says Proxys. Doverkin the Sardine says, I would kill him if the option occurs.
Whoa! Strong take
strong.
there.
Oh yeah, did anyone shoot that woman dead, by the way?
No.
I did the good thing, which was to
try and solve it yourself. Then
try and solve it yourself. Then ask Daniel to do it. There is an option where Daniel will
murders her, right?
Murders her. Yeah. In fact, speaking of which, let's just do
another point.
Few little
okay.
Yep. Geek with glasses. The point is you love Daniel, but you don't like him.
Yep.
That's how real siblings are. Sometimes,
sure, especially when they're little.
Yeah. Daniel, Sarah Shoot says, Daniel, get the hell over here. Do you have any idea what I've been through? For once, will you just stop being an idiot? And also, your hair is dumb.
Those are all true things.
Yeah, he needs a buzz cut. If anyone needed a buzz cut in this episode, it was.
You find in the church lady's documents or something, I think there's a reference to she cut it herself. And that's the red flag. That's the giant.
Yeah, how can you trust her? Be like, oh no, she takes care of me. No, she doesn't.
Look at this haircut.
I wanted that haircut when I was a kid because it was in vogue, and I asked my mum, and she said no, and that's how I know she's a good person.
That's love. Yeah.
Hang on. Where's the see the comment? Oh, here we go. Here's an interesting point. Mama Morticia says, Daniel, definitely brainwashed, made to write out lines and lines of stuff that backs up everything the reference says.
Yeah.
And that sad little table, day after day. That's probably worth talking about because obviously you get the sense that Daniel is being aggressively, mentally conditioned by the church.
Yeah.
So perhaps I should be a little... Perhaps I should be a little kinder, a bit more forgiving of him when it comes to...
I think that the potency of that is diminished because you don't see it firsthand, you see it by, snooping around and reading stuff. It's not going to be as potent that you walk in on her beating him or brainwashing him in some other way or what have you.
Cutting his hair.
I think it's forgivable. Or cutting his hair, yeah. Exactly.
J Hecky14 says, sadly with children, you shouldn't do things expecting them to give back.
Oh, that sounds wise and true.
It does sound wise and true, yeah. Is this truly a video game? I thought they were supposed to be fun.
Oh.
Okay, right. So we've touched on it a little bit, but I think maybe now we'll talk about the whole finale, the final set.
Okay. One more thing. One more thing. Just off the back of that, with children, you don't give or do things for them and expect stuff back is the antithesis of video game relationship building, where if you sink enough time and relationship points and loyalty missions into a character,
you get to smooch them.
Well, I mean,
no, I know what you mean.
They get on better and better with you. You get bonus points, or you get special skills. It's a kind of one-to-one mapping of you do this and you get this, and it's a much more natural kind of relationship where it's you do all this, you get nothing.
I think I think what you've hit upon there, Jane, is that actually when all is said and done, we might look at Life is Strange 2 and actually the most subversive thing it does is your relationship with Daniel. Because remember when they announced the game, we were all thinking you're going to be given these choices and it will determine whether or not Daniel turns out good or evil.
Yeah.
And now this far in, it's clear that that's not going to happen. It's going to be much more sort of shades of grey.
True.
I get this. I just get the feeling that he's going to go bad, and maybe what the question is going to be how. Yeah. How bad, or how will that...
He was Anakin Skywalker all along.
Yeah. It could be what Johnny says, where actually, if you sort of encourage him to be decisive and use his powers and stuff, maybe actually he'll make calm, sane decisions, and by sort of over smothering him and spoiling him and coddling him. Too much caution. We're gonna, I don't know, get him killed or make him kill someone else.
It's over, Daniel. I have the high ground. I mean, I kind of, because of all of the big heavy choices in Life is Strange games, I'm 30% convinced that the final choice is going to be shoot Daniel dead or not. Oof. I kind of feel like that might be in there.
For the good of all the world.
It's Bay or Bay with a gun.
Oh my god. You think he's going to be I've decided to mentally explode the Earth's core.
Who even knows?
I've cracked it.
How do you...
I now have the power.
Yeah, he goes Dr. Manhattan on the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Not to metagame it, I cannot imagine a video game that would allow you to shoot your child brother.
Life is strange.
Yeah.
I
Record
don't know.
scratch.
It would
yep,
be,
that's me.
It would be incredibly bold.
Just shot my little brother.
But I'm totally here for the idea of this kind of radical outcome with Daniel not being a kind of, is he a good little boy or a bad little boy? But yeah, the idea.
Is he a passable little boy?
Yeah.
Master Sam X17 says, do we have to of mice and men him?
That's
there
my
you
question.
Go. Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, maybe I'm not seeing a way where it could happen in a way that is palatable for a video game.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to like undermine video games, but I just, again, kind of cynically imagining what a developer feels like they can do.
Yeah, well, there was the whole do you give Chloe a lethal dose of morphine or not thing in episode 3 of Life is Strange Season 1. However, everyone knew that was just an alternate timeline thing.
Yeah.
And that you were going home immediately after that anyway, so...
Lindsay Mick points out you can let Captain Spirit die. You're
That's
not pulling
true.
the trigger, but you can...
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the critical difference is that you're not like shooting Chris in the head or
Do
anything
you
like
give
that.
Daniel the Choco Crisp that kills him? Like,
Okay, yeah, no, I could that I can imagine.
it's like he's choking on a Choco Crisp.
That's the of mice and men
Yeah.
thing. Is
Press X to Heimlich.
Yeah.
Or
Press B to quietly leave.
Yeah. Close the door.
that I know you're joking, but I can sort of imagine.
Yeah.
Where it's
Yeah.
like he's become a dangerous monster and it's Bay or Bay time.
Yeah.
I can kind of imagine that. Something more like that. Yeah.
All right, well, I want to talk a little bit more about predictions. We've got slightly out of order here, but it doesn't matter at all. You know what? In fact, is there anything more to say about the finale? I feel like we've... Roll the clip anyway, John, and we'll figure it out.
We'll
Roll
think
clip.
about it. Yeah.
Clip 6.
Clip 6.
Oh no. No. You started this fire. You will all burn in this hell.
Boo.
Oh yeah, Andy.
Ooh.
Fact checking Andy, just pointing out that Captain Spirit isn't dead; he's just in hospital.
He gets hit by a car, right?
And I did say boo.
Yeah.
Which I believe got caught just at the end of the VT. I'm so sorry, Captain Spirit.
Captain Underpants.
There we go.
He's still alive. Yeah.
Something that's interesting is. Oh, here we go. Hang on, we'll get to that brilliant comment in a second. Something that's interesting is that I know that final scene when you're leaving.
Yes.
If you have, you can have Daniel just basically kill the
like
church
the
leader.
mountain lion or the cougar or whatever it was
yeah. And
back
he,
in
and
episode
he
2.
basically.
I mean, I don't think she was being a cougar. I think she was just a cold.
Oh lol.
Sorry.
And Daniel.
That feels like that was the kind of moment the seed was planted for that idea.
I think
you
so,
like,
yeah.
That mountain lion or whatever it was.
And Daniel is just dispassionately sort of while she's in the air, is just like, and the neck is. Like,
whoa!
She slumps. Yeah, like
Dang.
I don't think.
That's how it goes.
Oh yeah, that's how it goes. Like if you
ask
if
him
you
to
ask
kill
Dan,
her.
if you like Dan,
If you ask him off the bat to take care of her.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, I think you like there's a scenario where like straight off the bat without any prompting, Daniel's just like
full
inches
dark
up.
side
and
Daniel.
then it's like intervene or not, and if you don't
Phew.
intervene, it's like
Damn.
and
Oh.
she's just like.
I wonder if
you
they
know,
get.
down
Sorry,
like a sack
carry
of
on.
No.
spuds.
I was going to say, is there also one? I kind of assumed from the percentage choices that he gets grabbed. I think at one point he like.
Oh, what? Daniel gets grabbed by.
by someone. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Well, let's
Maybe I
talk.
just completely
Let's talk a
imagined
little
that,
bit
sorry.
about the choices because we've got
what
them
can
here.
happen? What are the things that can happen?
Okay, so it's Lisbeth's fate.
There we go.
4% shot Lisbeth while Daniel wasn't hurting her. 18%.
That's- yeah, seems bad.
You let Daniel unleash his power on Lisbeth while he was hurting her. 71%. You and Daniel both spared Lisbeth's life. I think are we all in that
Yep.
large bracket?
But you do ask Daniel to move her out of the way, right? I think that happened. Like,
Yeah.
he kind of pushes her to one side because she's blocking the door.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
okay,
right. Yeah,
right, got it.
and I think actually that's the like clean exit.
Okay, that's the
the
bare
way out.
minimum.
Because
yeah.
then she tries to run back in and martyr herself, and forgettable action man with pistol whipping action drags her away.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah,
That was an interesting. Someone in the comments was pointing out that thematically this episode is quite a lot about like whether or not you get up and whether or not you like the choice to sort of get up and keep taking your punishment. And Action Man with pistol whipping action, that's one of the big choices, isn't it? Like when he pistol whip.
Yeah.
He
But
punches you down. It's like, do you get up or not?
For me, the difference between that is like by I guess like swallowing your ego and letting those horrible racists be horrible racists. Like that was the thing that just brought you closer to your objective, being your brother.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, I did get up when I was chucked out of the church compound because I've come this far and the objective is my brother and I'm going to get back up. So
Yes, of course,
although I did those kind of contradictory things because I think they kind of speak to the same goal.
I found those hammering X QTEs quite effective. Obviously, you're just like, it was like to get up every time you get sort of knocked down. It's like,
yeah.
I found that quite. I just felt it worked. I just felt like that small sort of physical connection to sort of pushing yourself back up and then getting.
Yeah.
And you get like, in the end, what wins Daniel over is presenting hard. Weirdly, even though he's a little boy and you're his brother, what wins him over is presenting hard evidence.
Look at this. Yeah. That's
like,
true. That's true.
It was actually probably what it should be. Is kind of like, I love you, don't you love me? But it's a bit kind of like, can she explain this?
Yeah.
I found the pressing X repeatedly thing. I mean, I will say that I didn't have a controller in my hands because when I play with Aoife, she has a controller. I found it a bit weird because I was just sitting there being like, he's getting up, and I could just hear like ta 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 in one corner of me. It pulled me out at the moment. But
Fair enough.
I don't know. I can see like.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Also, side note, I got caught by Nicholas. He is action man with pistol whipping action.
Okay.
You know when you like hide in the cupboard? Presumably you guys both
Oh,
successfully hid in the cupboard.
Yeah, I
Is
did.
that because you didn't ask Karen to help?
No, I asked Karen to help,
okay.
and then I hid in the cupboard.
Yeah.
And then through the slats of the cupboard, I saw that I'd left a filing cabinet open, so I thought I'll quickly pop out and do the thing. As soon as you pop out, he bursts through
Like,
the door. And
"Hi,
it's like,
it's
and
me."
Yeah, and
Oh, dang.
predictably, it is bad.
So if
for
he
you.
catches you, he just drags you off into the church or something
He
like
punches you and he drags you to the church,
Okay.
and you end up in the same spot.
but you've gathered like less sort of evidence that you can like deploy against her, like Phoenix Wright or something.
I'll tell you what you don't get to see. Like the distraction presumably still happens, but you know, like Karen
Yeah.
torches a barn or something.
Yeah.
Like, quite full on.
Somehow.
You don't get to see that.
I mean, if you stay hidden in the cupboard, he is like, and he's about to come open the doors and drag you out.
Yeah.
But then
the distraction kicks in.
Yes, I don't know if a siren goes or something. He's like, what the hell? And then you're like, oh wow.
Okay.
Proper Sarah Connor vibes. Seriously, off Karen.
Yeah. Lottie Emerald has a prediction for the end. In fact, maybe it's time to get into talking about predictions.
Yep.
All right, clip 7, John.
This is it. We made it, Daniel.
What do we do now?
Make our way across. You ready?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Well.
So we're going to make it to the border.
Apparently so. Well,
will we get
yes.
any further than that? I don't know. What do you think?
mean-
Are we going to see? Are we going to see Mexico? Are we going to see Puerto Lobos? Or...
Well, we know the game has to end on the next episode.
Yeah.
So we know it's not going to run and be the adventures of Sean and Daniel, south of the border. So there's every chance that you don't make it across the kind of mythical border to which we've been making our way. That some standoff or crisis or climactic thing happens there.
I've been trying to work out if you make it across the border, in terms of the judiciary. That bomb's been defused because you can't be dragged back across the border unless there's a law enforcement officer who's willing to violate that border. So I'm wondering,
the law enforcement you've met don't strike me as kind of maverick rule breaker.
No.
Sort of
So the only character I can conceive of is Scully.
Yeah.
Coming over the border,
Yeah.
but I don't. I mean, we don't have a very high opinion of her. Maybe she wouldn't do it. It makes me think 99% of the episodes is going to be still set on the American side.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think it'd complicate it to be like now they've passed through passport control and and how and what and I think you're right. I think most of it's going to be the journey to the border and maybe the sort of epilogue aftermath of getting caught and such like. Perhaps.
You think maybe we're not going to make it? You think it's going to end as statistically it probably would with arrest and prison?
Not necessarily an arrest, but
But it's not going to be a clean getaway.
They're not both going to make it. I'll put it that way.
No.
There's no way there's no way both brothers are going to be alive at the end of the game. As far as I'm concerned.
You think?
I reckon.
Oh.
Maybe that's too predictable.
I honestly have no idea. I cannot see how it's going to. I cannot see how it's going to wrap this up in. I mean, these episodes have been 2.5, 3 hours. That feels like such a lot of heavy lifting.
I think that's why the action can't then go to Mexico because that's a whole other episode. That's a whole
really-
other 10
Yeah.
episodes.
You can only really have, like, bearing in mind that the climax has to be like quite a big thing. It can only really be 1 or maybe 2 locations.
Okay.
And
Money down. There's
go.
going to be another crisis moment where Daniel has to save his mother, or her mother, the unredeemed mother who abandoned her children, is going to have to sacrifice herself for Daniel, or Daniel is going to have to save his mother. There's going to be another dead mother.
I don't want to see Karen sacrificing herself for. Nah.
That is it. What if basically the big Bay thing is actually taken out of our hands because we're not the ones with the power, and instead it's more like it's more like the game turns around and goes, "Here's how you did."
Yes.
Over the last X episodes.
Yeah. And it's Daniel, according to how you've shaped him, that makes the decision one way or the other. That would be really interesting and like really bold.
Yeah. What I would really like is for the game to mechanically make it obvious that this is where the choice is being taken away. Like maybe it does that split screen decision thing.
Yeah.
You think about it, you make your decision, but then when you press the button, nothing happens.
And Daniel's like, no.
Yeah.
Also,
like Undertale style.
In that clip we just saw, that's a big old wall, obviously. And obviously that's included in there because it's very politically charged, both in the game world and in real life at the minute.
Yes.
Sure. But Daniel could absolutely 100% just yeet his brother over the wall.
Oh, yeah, he could.
Like, just like, whoop!
That's true.
And we don't
Would
know
Sean
whether he
survive
can personally levitate or not.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Of course, he must be.
Just send your brother over with a rope.
He could just Iron Man out of his like.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's nothing to physically stop them from doing it, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're going to.
FBI lady's going to catch up. I think we started the episode like FBI lady's going to catch up with them. Potentially. No, actually, I'm going to wait and see.
I think we're going to see Puerto Lobos.
Oh, really?
I think we're going to see it. I don't know if it's going to be like, you know,
the end
here we
credits
are,
montage.
cocktails on the beach. Daniel's using his powers to fix up old boats and stuff. I mean, I would love that.
Cool
but
things never happened after that day.
But I think it's been mentioned too many times for it not to be visually glimpsed. I mean, you know, I feel like it's.
But like maybe in the end credits montage where it's like, and now let's check in on all the people we've met along the way, and possibly also one of the 2 remaining brothers on the beach in Puerto Lobos or something.
Yeah. There was an interesting comment I saw you had highlighted earlier.
Yes.
Which was like, you think it's going to be the big choice is going to be whether or not
to get in the way of a bullet.
To take a bullet for your brother, or to.
Lottie Emerald, that's coming. Last decision is to step between Daniel and a bullet to save him and die, or let him die and live free. I can really believe that. You know, everything's spinning around, and you know, Agent Flores is aiming a gun, and like it's up to you, and that's your sort of. That's how they get this idea.
The
of
game
killing
opened with a flustered law enforcement officer discharging the service weapon at the wrong moment.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What if it was just that again?
We don't really have not a defined single antagonist at this point. Like I don't know if Elizabeth is coming back. I don't feel like she is, and so it's not like this antagonist that's been pursuing you throughout the game is going to catch up with you and present like a life or death threat. So it's going to have to be something that is presented in the episode, which could be a law enforcement officer or something like that.
Or it's Brody who's been charged for them trashing the motel room. You little punks!
Oh my God, Brody!
You didn't even read my blog.
Oh,
I read it. I read his blog.
Oh, okay.
And was deeply unimpressed. Brody plummeted in my estimation when I actually read his output.
You want to try looking like him? It's not easy.
I like his look. Don't like his writing. Emesification says, I don't think the last choice will be yours. Instead, Daniel kills or doesn't kill you based on how you raised him.
Oh, wow.
That's
going to be powerful. I'm looking forward to whatever happens. That's going to be
this
amazing.
horrible moment.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued.
Alex Samara says, I want to see how Lila figures back into things.
Oh, Lila.
If she does at all.
Oh, I love her.
The thing is, Lila can canonically be in a facility right now, right?
Yes.
Yeah, she can be in a really bad way or kind of an okay way, depending on how you played it.
I think that's it for Lila. I'm calling it. Obviously, I want Lila to come back into it. Lila was awesome. I'm calling it now. They plotted out the game before they had any idea how popular Lila would be, and now they're like, she's not really a thing.
OG darn it, yeah.
Oops.
Like Stranger Things season 1 with Barb.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And everyone's like,
yeah.
you like her? She was supposed to go and not be seen again.
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah.
really liked the dude who got shot in the head after feeding 11. I loved him. I was like, what a great character.
Oh, that's what I get.
Yeah.
I can't have nice things.
Lindsay Mick says Frank from Life is Strange 1 comes back. He's been in every season.
Frank.
No, well, unfortunately, Frank. Drug dealing
Eating
Frank.
those
gets
beans.
his
Oh,
RV.
bloody hell. Frank comes
Him and
back.
his Winnebago. He's like, get in,
Oh my
get in,
God.
nerds. We're going.
Yeah, screeches. Yeah,
Daniel, kill
We're
him.
going
Kill him
bean
now.
eating.
screeches his RV into Agent Flores.
I love Frank.
Hop in, kids.
Oh my gosh,
unapologetically.
no.
He and Pompadour turn up.
Oh,
It's like,
okay,
hey, this is
Pompadour's
Pompadour.
I like
Pompadour
Frank as
just
well.
signed a bunch of puppies. Here's one. It's called Mushroom.
Oh, but Frank is dead. So
well.
in my playthrough, along with the rest of them.
I had a theory.
Oh my god, I forgot about you.
I had a theory way back when that there was going to be some way to undo like the father's death at the beginning of the game, but given that there's been no hint of time travel since, that seems almost all but impossible.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine if Max and Chloe showed up? Hear me out.
Okay.
Hear me out.
All right, sell me it.
If there's been a theme to Life is Strange 2, it's that at every turn,
Yes.
it like brutally undercuts your hopes with something that is just so staggeringly mundane and unpleasant.
Yeah. Just low key and real.
It's just low key and real and horrible, and that's kind of how it goes. Like again and again, you're kind of, I think the professor, they're all going to the academy.
Because they've
no.
been saving up the magic sparkle.
What's going on with the mum?
Okay.
What if the way that this game finds its bit of like sparkle dust escapism redemption is Max and Chloe are just there at the border and they're like, come, this is the academy.
To the Max and Chloe Academy.
The Max
for
and Chloe
gifted,
Academy for gifted magic.
Oh my god, they've started a
teens.
Professor X school in Mexico.
I feel we're owed.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm owed. Max and Chloe at the border.
Oh.
Come on
they
in.
all go to Puerto Lobos.
Or they're there, but they're in an ailing relationship because they don't love each other anymore, but they feel like the price was so high that they have to stay together.
Oh god.
They have to stay together for the wreck of Arcadia Bay.
Oh my god, that's
Still.
you've just turned the most magical possible ending to the worst possible.
Welcome to
grimmest
being in my
gut
brain,
punch.
Jane.
Oh my god.
Still the right choice. Still the right choice.
Yeah, no, still the right choice. Stand by it.
Yeah. Well, Broxison says Johnny isn't angry, Luke. He's just disappointed. No, he is angry. We've had this conversation.
Seething.
He's angry.
We have had this conversation.
Yeah.
Quite loudly.
Doverkin the Sardine says, and then Daniel kills them. I think that's Max and Chloe.
Oh
My god! Imagine if
God.
the choices you made meant that Daniel kills Max and Chloe.
No, God. Oh, no. Daniel kills Max because Chloe's like, cool new Aunt Chloe. And then that drives Sean to kill Chloe in an act of pique.
Oh, it's like a Shakespearean tragedy and
it's
everyone's
like, you're my
dead.
brother, damn it.
Oh,
Mexican
Lord.
standoff with Max, Chloe.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't have Max and Chloe because canonically half the people playing this game
Yeah.
Chloe
Doesn't
is.
work, yeah. Yeah,
But,
there you
okay, but just
And then Rachel Amber just jumps over them all on a jet ski.
go. Ramps over.
that would be amazing. And that's her power, is a magic jet ski.
And not being dead anymore.
Yeah, it works on land. She's not dead. And she's like, hop on, kids. And then off to the moon.
Well.
Nailed it.
Well, we can but hope. Thank you all so much for your brilliant comments and suggestions in the chat.
Yeah, I kind of want to go back and read them after we're done here, which unfortunately we are.
If you are watching this after the fact, after it was live, then pop your thoughts in the comments because they'll show up there. And thank you very, very much, Johnny, for taking time out of your hectic schedule.
My pleasure.
Launching the incredible Dicebreaker. What's that URL again?
YouTube.com/Dicebreaker. It's real good fun.
It is excellent, and thank you, Jane,
You're
for
welcome.
joining us. Check out Show of the Week, which is live.
Impending.
Yeah,
live
imminent. Soon. Show of the Weekend tomorrow. All the usual stuff. Thanks, producer John, for doing a great job over in the corner. He's nodding with a calm satisfaction of a job well done. And thank you, Watson, for being
Watson.
the best dog.
Watson.
Come on. Good girl.
Oh my gosh! Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.
Bye.